very much, UHAS Choir. My Lord Chair, the Vice Chancellor, our distinguished speaker, members of the University Council, the Regional Minister, our former Vice Chancellor, Deans and Directors, Tobio Mamao, our special guest, convocation, ladies and gentlemen, you are warmly welcome to UHAS. You are welcome specifically to the City Auditorium of the University of Health and Allied Sciences. This afternoon, we are here because it is the 8th John Evans Atta-Mills lecture. And soon, we are going to listen to a distinguished speaker who will present the lecture this year. I have the honor to introduce the chairman of this afternoon's program. He is none other than the chairman of the University Council, His Lordship Justice Victor Jones Maulom Doche. With a round of applause, shall we welcome him to constitute the assembly.
Good afternoon. I stand on the existing protocols to warmly welcome all of you to this 8th John Evans Atta-Mills Memorial Lecture Series, which we have christened Leadership Lecture Series at University of Health and Allied Sciences. We are indeed gratified to have a guest speaker for today. She's a colossus in her own right, and I will not take the wind out of the sails of the Vice Chancellor, who will be introducing her pretty soon. All I need from you is your cooperation and attention. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Your Lordship Chairman, our distinguished speaker for today, my Pro-Vice Chancellor Registrar, my own Regional Minister, former Vice Chancellor Professor Japon, distinguished council members of this university. Chairman, if I can ask permission to stand on the protocol established by the registrar, I'll be glad to continue. Thank you very much. We are here gathered this afternoon to listen to a distinguished speaker, and I have the singular honor to introduce her. But before that, why are we here? As a university, we are immortalizing our 3rd president of the 4th Republic of Ghana. He ruled this country from 2009 to 2012. Before then, he was the vice president of this distinguished nation from 1997 to 2001. I'll say a little more about our late president because it was during his tenure as president that this university was given birth to. He was from the central region, specifically Ekumfi. He was born in 1944. He passed in 2012. The act that established this university was passed in 2011. In March of 2012, he appointed the first Vice Chancellor of this university, Professor Fred Newton Benker. So he took office in March. The first batch of students came to school in September of 2012. We can see clearly that he was not alive when the first batch of students enrolled. So from March to 2012, he was alive until July. And this is important for us as a university, that we want to immortalize our former president, our late president. He schooled in Achimota School and went to University of Ghana and also continued in London School of Economics. He also had a PhD in law. He rose through the ranks and became a professor at the University of Ghana, where he used to work before he became the vice president of this nation. And so he served within the academic environment for 25 good years and left the university scene as an associate professor in the School of Law, University of Ghana. He was a man who was passionate about sports, and therefore he was very, very interested in hockey. And so our School of Sports and Exercise Medicine, please take notes so that one day UHAS will win the national best hockey player. During his life, he had a number of visiting scholar appointments. And I'm very happy that today, most of our staff at the University of Ghana also hold visiting scholar position in universities across the world. I'm also happy that the university has named this leadership lecture series after him, because we see him as a very, very astute academic during his days at the University of Ghana. He was a statesman par excellence, and he was a leader that we all remember. The young ones, if you do not remember him, just go to YouTube, Google his name, and you listen to some of his videos. And so in 2016, this leadership series was established following approval from the University Council. So far, we've had 7 lectures. Today is the 8th. The first one was given by Professor Sefa Dede. It came to Dr. Adovlo. It went to Dr. Moeti. It went to Professor Molino. It came to Dr. Asamoah Befi, and then Dr. Sian Ejapon. Last year, we had Professor Ernest Aite. So today, we are here to have the first Ghanaian speaker for this leadership series, or lecture series. Our distinguished speaker, Reverend Dr. Joyce Rosalind Aye, will soon be 78 years this March. And on the 27th of March, on the 27th of March, she will be celebrating her birthday. So, Mommy, happy birthday in advance. So he schooled in the Methodist Primary School in Kumasi. Suntreso are here. And as early as 1969, some of us were not born, he finished his first degree from the University of Ghana. Because his secondary school was in Achimota Senior High School, The 17th dormitory of this school has been named after her, Reverend Joyce R.I. House. She also had her postgraduate training at GEMPA. From 1997 to date, he leads the Salt and Light Ministries. And when the choir was singing, I was wondering if the harmonious chorale was here, how the competition would look like. In 2005, she established the Harmonious Quartet, if I'm right. And the name changed to the Harmonious Chorale in 2007. So the choir, you need to give our mother some songs that she can borrow from us to her chorale group. For 10 solid years, our distinguished speaker served as the CEO of the Ghana Chamber of Mines, being the first female to occupy these seats. She was also a former PRO of the Ghana Standard Boards and Environmental Protection Council. She has served on several boards. I just picked a few. She chaired some, and she was a member of a number. Key within these is a Global Media Alliance that she was chair. She also chaired the Newmont Gold Ghana and Newmont Golden Ridge Limited. And she was once the Pro-Chancellor of Central University. She worked in a number of organizations and institutions. Few of them I picked up: Minister of Education, Information, Public Relations Officer, Education Officer, Ghana Museums, and a number. You can imagine. Again, this happens to be her third honorary doctorate tomorrow, if God give us life. She will be honored with an honorary doctorate from UHAS. She's already received one from UMaT and Central University. We want to congratulate our mother for achieving this feat. So having the third means that she's done Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. We wish to congratulate her for being recognized in all these universities. Today, as a university, we realize the effects of mining on health. It's known that the incidence of birth deformities is increasing within the enclave of the mining areas or where mining takes place. There are a number of grants that are also focusing on climate change and its effects. And so this year, we decided to bring our mother to share her thoughts on illegal mining in Ghana, a critical challenge to the attainment of the Sustainable Development Goals. The brochure that's the flyer you have been given gives her kind of fairly detailed profile and abstracts of this conversation this afternoon. It's a conversation because after her delivery, we would have the chance to ask questions and also contribute to the discussion. And so, the lecture promises to discuss the policies and strategies that can propel mining to contribute to the Sustainable Development Goals. Our speaker would also look at what mining has contributed to local and national development. From her experience, she will let us know some of the factors that is encouraging and making illegal mining lucrative in our country. She will not leave it there. She would continue to give her thoughts on some of the dangers of these illegal mining activities. And she promises to share her thoughts on prescriptions to uproot or stop or curtail, whatever language words you want to use, illegal mining in our country. I'm very confident there'll be an exciting lecture, and I wish us all to listen and contribute to this very important area at the end of her delivery. Thank you very much for your attention. So on this note, I want to invite our mother to the podium. Thank you.
My Lord Justice, Chairman of Council, Pro-Vice Chancellor, Madam Vice Chancellor, I will stand on the existing other protocols and carry on. I was quite scared when she was going on. The registrar was listing all these people, and I was saying, how am I supposed to, But I have to recognize my junior brother, the regional minister. Another junior brother used to be the vice chancellor here, Professor Jambo. And then Dogwio, Amao, and my dear friends. I've been wondering whether I'm in SHS, because I've even seen people in this university who are looking like my grandchildren. But I've been assured that you all are extremely mature. And it gives me hope that one day, even if I'm being attended to by a 24-year-old doctor, I will feel confident that I'm in good hands. UHAS choir, don't worry. You are not in competition with Harmonious Chorale. You are in a category of your own, and you're good. So, I'm surprised that the Vice Chancellor says there will be room for questions, because I intend to speak for about 5 hours. Don't worry, it won't be that long. But first, let me apologize for not being so digitally inclined. So don't look at anything over there. Just look at me, because I'll be using paper and not slides. I'll catch your attention that way, because otherwise, whilst I'm speaking, instead of looking at me, you'll be looking at Sini. So today there's no Sini. We're just going to have what we used to do, right? What we used to do. We just used to talk, and I think we'll do that. But forgive me, I think at 78, I can afford not to be digitally inclined. So my second name is BBC, born before computers. And it's a very nice middle name, so you can call me that. Thank you very much. I'd like to thank the University Council and my dear little sister, Professor Lydia, for this honor. I consider it an honor to be here, particularly because the gentleman we are immortalizing was my senior in Achimota School. When I went there, he was in Form 3. But not only that, he was also somebody I knew very well. And so I want to send a message to him saying that I'm right here at the university he caused to be established. And I'll be speaking like an old Achimotan. Let me say that mining holds immense potential for Ghana's development. And yet, its benefits remain elusive if not harnessed responsibly. We must acknowledge the historical context that has shaped attitudes towards mining. The colonial legacies fueling distrust and resentment in some quarters have persisted. However, we cannot afford to let past injustices hinder our progress towards sustainable development. And that is why illegal mining is a threat. When mining is regulated, it can offer not only jobs, but it can be a catalyst to development. I do admit, however, that in some parts of the world, when it comes to discussions on the economic benefits of mining, passions are inflamed and various sentiments are awakened. What such passions fail to analyze is that it was due to the effect of the political system at the time that created and nurtured some of these passions. Colonialism, for instance, created hatred for mining as an economic venture, basically because the colonized did not benefit from the impact of the exploited mineral resources. But of course, conversely, the colonialists would not have gone through the trouble to travel all the way for the sake of mining and transport the gained resources across the Atlantic Ocean if there were no economic benefits for the development of their countries in the West. One secret most of us do not know, that a lot of the forest reserves established by the colonialists were done because these reserves hosted some of the best gold resources. Because they didn't expect to leave the country. So they were hoping that from time to time, they would decide that it was no longer a forest reserve and then enter it to do some mining. But with the passing of this political system, there's still grudges where royalties, taxes, and other incomes received by central government as a result of activities of mining do not transform into real economic benefits for the people at the community level. Illegal mining in particular poses a great threat to our nation's future. It not only undermines our economic prospects, but it also jeopardizes the health and well-being of communities. As we confront this challenge, we must recognize the importance of collective action by addressing the root causes of illegal mining and what we can do to unlock the potential of benefiting from the natural resources that we have. So, Your Lordship, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, permit me to say a few things about illegal mining and its critical challenge to the attainment of sustainable development goals. I'd like to plead to slightly paraphrase Richard Orty, who says, "The resource curse is part of a broader loose revenue curse where high rent encourages political contest for its capture at the expense of investment in sustained wealth creation. Such rent cycling distorts the economy and triggers a growth collapse from which recovery is protracted because rent recipients become powerful and oppose reform, unquote. This is not a political platform, but this statement clearly stimulates and reminds us to have doubts about the economic contribution, if any, to the importance that we think mining brings and whether it really has any sustainable effects. Obviously, some parts of the world have not exploited the opportunity offered by mining for real economic transformation. I'll give some case studies and demonstrate how mining is contributing to the development communities in Africa. For example, there's a mine called Geita Gold Mine in Tanzania. And in this mine, located in Lake Victoria goldfields of Tanzania, we have one of the largest gold mines in Africa, operated by a multinational mining company. There are economic empowerments. The mine has been a catalyst for economic growth in the region, providing employment opportunities, skills development, and business opportunities for local entrepreneurs and suppliers. There have also been social investments because the mining company has invested in social infrastructure such as schools, health facilities, and clean water initiatives to improve the quality of life for the communities surrounding the mine. There's been some cultural preservation because there's a recognition that the cultural heritage of the indigenous communities ought to be preserved, that traditional knowledge, languages, and customs should be preserved while promoting social cohesion and cultural diversity. And then there has been economic and environmental management plans and rehabilitation efforts to minimize the impacts, conserve biodiversity, and promote land use practices. If you take the economic impact, for example, this mine employs over 6,000 directly, with an additional 20,000 employed indirectly in support services. It also contributes about $1 billion annually to Tanzania's export earnings. In the community, the mine has invested $15 million in building schools and providing scholarships to over 1,500 students. And when you come to health care, clinics and mobile health units have been provided, taking care of over 100,000 people annually. There are other mines, one in South Africa, the TP Bora manganese mine, that also has gone through much the same things that I have mentioned about the Geita mine. According to the World Bank, mining contributes significantly to African economies, accounting for about 20% of GDP in some countries. The African Development Bank reports that the mining sector employs some 1.9 million people across the continent, providing livelihoods for both urban and rural communities. However, challenges such as environmental degradation, social conflict, economic inequalities persist, highlighting the importance of responsible mining practices and community engagement initiatives. Sustainable development goals such as poverty reduction, education, health are closely linked to the mining sector's ability to contribute positively to local communities and national economies. And so we need to promote a broader understanding. Understanding mining's multifaceted role is essential for harnessing its full potential to drive sustainable development, foster inclusive growth, and address global challenges effectively. In the first place, there are diverse contributions. Mining extends beyond mere resource extraction because it encompasses various sectors, including infrastructure, technology, and community development. Secondly, beyond the GDP contributions, mining fosters economic growth through job creation, investment attraction, and revenue generation for governments and communities. Number three, when it comes to social development, responsible mining can uplift communities by providing employment, infrastructure, social services, and thereby reducing poverty and improving livelihoods. Fourthly, as far as environmental responsibility is concerned, mining companies embrace practices that mitigate environmental degradation, preserving ecosystems, and ensuring long-term viability resources. And the last but not the least, there's global connectivity. Mining facilitates global trade, supply chain integration, and technology transfer, fostering economic interconnectedness and innovation. So, having said all this about regulated mining, let me spend a little time talking about illegal mining. And let's look at SDG 3, SDG 6, and SDG 12. So Sustainable Goal 3 talks about good health and well-being. And the key points are that the SDG 3 aims to ensure healthy lives and promote well-being for all ages, and is targeted at reducing maternal mortality, ending preventable deaths of newborns and children under 5 years old, combating communicable diseases such as HIV, AIDS, and malaria, reducing non-communicable diseases such as diabetes and other cardiovascular diseases, strengthening mental health services, and achieving universal health coverage. Let me go through the SDGs and then later on discuss whether through illegal mining we are undermining these goals or whether we are promoting them. SDG 6 talks about clean water and sanitation. And I can already see some of you wincing because you've seen rivers that look more murky than the little puddles that we have in our potholes. Some of these great rivers are looking like the way, the puddles look when it rains. Scary. The objective of SDG 6 aims to ensure availability and sustainable management of water and sanitation for all. There's an anecdote. It's not funny, but this is how some people feel when they indulge in illegal mining. Someone was telling me that somebody engaging in illegal mining was asked, between water and gold, what would you choose? And the person said, gold. After all, if I die, I wouldn't need water. Yeah. He forgets that he needs to live to even enjoy the gold. So what are the targets of SDG 6? SDG 6. Number 1, achieve universal access to safe and affordable drinking water for everyone. Ghana Water is struggling because the rivers from which we derive water in certain parts of the country have become difficult to process. Secondly, improve water quality by reducing pollution, minimizing untreated wastewater, and protecting water ecosystems. Now, a lot of our water bodies are atrophying because of illegal mining. 3, ensure access to adequate and equitable sanitation and hygiene facilities for all, with a focus on ending open defecation. Well, some of the people caught on the water bodies using the Shanfan. How many of you know the Shanfan or heard about Shanfan? It's like, like a pontoon on a water body. And all the mud that is extracted is put on this water body, and some wheel is used to remove the mud and see where the gold pellets will be. And it's done right on a river, a huge river at that. And of course, the people live on the Shanfan. So even though they may not be openly defecating in the bushes, they even do worse things in the illegal mining, such that they defecate on the water. Some of us like fish head. I think I'll leave it at that. Make sure. The fourth point is that the SDG 6 wants to increase water use efficiency and implement integrated water resource management. All that is under threat. SDG 12 is the responsible consumption and production. And the key objective is that there will be sustainable consumption and production patterns worldwide. The targets. First target talks about achieving sustainable management and efficient use of natural resources. Natural resources are not just minerals. Water is also a natural resource, and so are our forests. Even the fish in our river bodies are also part of our natural resources. Second one, reduce waste generation through prevention, reduction, recycling, and reuse. If you have seen a picture of an illegal mining site, there's nothing called management, prevention, reuse. All those words don't exist. You have a mass of people. Some of you saw during the real furore against illegal mining, some pictures of what happens in Congo DRC were put on social media, and people thought it was Ghana. But I mean, it was like, how shall I call it? Total bedlam. I mean, people, children everywhere trying to find something. And so things like prevention and reduction of waste generation, these do not exist where illegal mining takes place. Third point is encourage companies to adopt sustainable practices throughout their production process. Of course, illegal mining is unregulated, so you can't even find people to call them companies, let alone help them adopt practices. The fourth, promote sustainable public procurement practices. When an activity is illegal, such a thing does not happen. Fifth, ensure consumers have relevant information and awareness for sustainable lifestyles. All these things do not exist. So the importance of SDG 12 is that A, there will be sustainable consumption and production, because these are essential for mitigating environmental degradation, conserving resources, and addressing climate change. I saw a post of someone who was gleefully saying we should go and tell the president, the cocoa trees are ours. We will cut them down, and the land, we will destroy it. And he was laughing throughout. I don't know whether it was a hoax or whether it was real. But understanding the dangers is really important. The mining sector plays a significant role in global resource extraction, making responsible mining practices essential for achieving SDG 12 targets. And responsible mining must include minimizing environmental impact, promoting efficient resource use, and ensuring social and economic benefits for communities. There are challenges and opportunities. The challenge includes sustainable resource extraction, pollution, and the challenge includes unsustainable resource extraction, pollution, and inadequate waste management practices within the illegal mining sector. And the opportunities are that there's room for improvement through innovation, technology adoption, and collaboration among stakeholders to promote sustainable mining practices. So what are the threats of illegal mining to these SDGs 3, 6, and 12? As a leading producer of gold in Africa, Ghana ranks amongst the top gold-producing countries globally. And so mining plays a significant role in Ghana's economy. The thing about Ghana is that we didn't get the name Gold Coast for nothing. From the south right to the north, through Burkina Faso, our country is awash with gold. It's a fact. In fact, so much so that geological rocks, we have geological rocks called Taquean rocks, and these are used. This term, Taquean rock, describes a certain kind of rock that bears gold, and it's used worldwide in geology. But Galamsey actually means mining without any license of any sort. So illegal mining means there's no authorization, there are no permits, no adherence to regulatory standards. But the name Galamsey comes from gather them and sell. And it used to be people just, we used to have a lot of alluvial gold. It means that when it rained, even the rivers, had gold nuggets, and you could pick them up. I think those who are a little older can remember some of our relatives talking about these things. So you'd gather them and sell. But right now, the use of earth-moving equipment and the use of shangfang, mercury, and cyanide provide great menace. Illegal mining has become widespread in Ghana. Everywhere there's gold, you have the regulated mines and you have a plethora of unregulated people. The impact on the environment is dire, and we have significant environmental degradation, deforestation, soil erosion, polluted water bodies, destruction of vegetation, and disruption of ecosystems. All these exacerbate land degradation, and the loss of biodiversity is affected. There are also social and economic consequences. Illegal mining poses various social and economic challenges, including conflicts over land rights, displacement of communities, loss of livelihoods, and the use of child labor. Health hazards from exposure to toxic substances, exploitation of women and children abound in illegal mining activities. There's a documentary, I think it's Joy FM that did it, Poisoned for Gold. If you haven't found it, please Google and you get to know a lot. There are also health hazards, and pretty soon you may even have people coming here with genetic distortions because of the use of mercury particularly. Cyanide is found in nature, and so it also takes nature to mitigate its use. So when cyanide is exposed to the sun, it loses its toxicity. That's why cyanide is usually kept even in a dark container so that no light. So the immediate problem of cyanide is that when it is immediately used without regulation, it can cause death. Those in regulated mining have to belong to international groups that regulate these. On the local communities, farmlands are stolen, displacement is done, the social fabric of communities is torn apart, and we have a lot of migration. A lot of people come from outside Ghana to indulge in illegal mining. Amnesty International estimates that over 200,000 people have been displaced by illegal mining activities in Ghana. The extent of the destruction is a lot. We all know large rivers, Pra and Cobra, have been severely, the Brim, even the Ofeng, you know, a lot of these waters dovetail into Pra and Ankobra. And we have a lot of degradation. The environmental consequences are that heavy metals, such as mercury. Mercury is non-biodegradable. And so when you introduce mercury, you're really looking for a long period of it not breaking down. Sedimentation and siltation also is a major problem because of the sheer volumes of mud that are introduced into these water bodies. Drinking water becomes unavailable. Almost all the fish that used to be in the Ofeng, in the Brim, in the Ankobra, they've all gone because too much siltation, too much introduction of mud into a river will atrophy it, to take away the oxygen that the fish can feed on. And then the attendant problem is that even the vegetation along the riverbeds are not able to function. So what are these things that the Vice Chancellor talked about? The strange babies phenomenon. Local residents in mining areas have reported cases of infants born with deformities and unusual health conditions, and they are commonly called strange babies. These babies often exhibit physical abnormalities, such as missing limbs, deformed features, and neurological disorders. Perhaps the School of Medicine can send a team to go and do some research there so that we'll get to know even more as we seek, as a nation, to stop illegal mining. Some of these things I'm saying come from the Ministry of Health as well as the Environmental Protection Agency. Now, the potential causes of this strange baby syndrome is believed to be linked to heavy metals as well as mercury and even cyanide. Pregnant women living in or near mining communities may be at heightened risk of exposure. The health impacts are that toxic chemicals from illegal mining extend beyond the strange babies to include increased rates of miscarriages, stillbirths, and infant mortality. Children and adults in affected communities may also suffer from respiratory problems, skin diseases, and neurological disorders due to environmental contamination from illegal mining. Can we curb illegal mining? Maybe I should say we ought to curb it. Prescriptions. SDG 17 underscores the importance of partnerships in addressing global challenges like illegal mining and advancing sustainable development. So by fostering collaboration, capacity building, and innovation, partnerships can play a pivotal role in promoting responsible mining practices, protecting natural resources, and improving the well-being of communities. So what are the key points of SDG 17? The objective is to strengthen global partnerships for sustainable development. And these partnerships should, one, encourage multi-stakeholder partnerships at the local, national, and global levels to mobilize resources, share knowledge, and implement sustainable development initiatives. Two, build capacity and implement sustainable policies and programs through technology transfer, knowledge sharing, and skills development. Financing, mobilizing, that's the third point, mobilizing financial resources, including public and private investments, foreign aid, and innovative financing mechanisms to support sustainable development projects. Four, data and monitoring, improving data collection, monitoring and reporting mechanisms to track progress towards achieving the SDGs and to identify areas for intervention. And last but not the least, policy coherence, ensuring coherence in coordinating among different policy areas, such as trade, finance, environment, in addressing some of these issues. So how do we use SDG 17 to address illegal mining? One, collaboration. We need to enhance partnerships between governments, mining communities, civil society organizations, as well as foreign companies and aid donors to combat illegal mining and promote responsible mining practices. Two, capacity building. We need to support capacity building efforts to strengthen regulatory enforcement, enhance environmental monitoring, and empower communities affected by illegal mining. Because illegal mining puts a lot of money in the miners' hands, they are able to bribe everybody, including Togbuyo. Please, you didn't hear me. Including, anyway, there's no mining in Voltari, so I won't say Togbuyo, including chiefs. But they didn't hear me, so I bow. But you can actually have chiefs saying, why won't I allow them to mine? The land is mine. And yet, constitutionally, anything found under the surface of any plot of land in Ghana, including, my brother, your house, no longer belongs to you. It belongs to all of us as a nation. And that's why we need to regulate how it is done. Because people in Akwetia, were living with their houses suspended because the diamond mining was going underneath their houses illegally. But we need to build capacity so regulatory enforcement can be done and finance sustainable mining initiatives, including investments in infrastructure, technology, and community development. Data and monitoring, point 4. Data collection is not the strength of many of us in Ghana, but it's time. It is time to make data collection essential to everything that we do. And once we get the data, to monitor systems that will enable us to access the data we have collected and use them in mitigating some of the problems that we have. Policy coherence. No institution must work alone. Neither the Ministry of Health, nor the Ministry of Finance, nor the Ministry of Forest. Everyone is involved in this menace. When did we get to a time when if you don't buy bottled water, you're scared to drink water from your tap? It didn't used to be like that. But now, even the menace of bottled water is another thing we need to look at. Because the plastics are also creating their own problems. And that is why we must collaborate. All agencies, all industries, all international partners, all Ghanaians, we must collaborate to make sure that we do this. There are benefits of partnership. It enhances the impact. 2, it becomes a shared responsibility. 3, innovation and learning become more extended. So how do we curb? I don't like the word curb because there are recalcitrants in every society. There are some people, it doesn't matter what you do to them, they will do wrong. They will go to prison, come back, and continue the wrong. They will go for deliverance, come back, and do the wrong. And that's why we must have laws, at least to mitigate some of these things. So, in the short to medium term, we must think of how to restore our water bodies, our forest reserves, and strengthen and enforce our statutory and regulatory mechanisms. And in the medium to long term, we must ensure the diversification of the minerals industry to propel industrialization and create sustainable wealth in the whole country. Ghana has a lot of other minerals. I mean, recently, lithium, but there are others. Even clay. I mean, clay is everywhere, and it's a source of wonderful development. But many of us prefer the shine. I'm one of them. I'm wearing something that shines. So I guess the gold miners, the regulated ones, they must continue to work. I can see even the men wearing gold watches. Or are these not real gold? The men wearing the watches, right? But we need to treat illegal mining as a national security problem of criminal proportions. Already, there are special courts that handle illegal mining infractions. But in the short term, such courts must be empowered to give deterrent sentences. If you take an illegal miner and you find him 500 CDs, you haven't done anything. You take it out of the pocket and pay. But if you had to pay 50,000, 100,000 CDs, that would mean something. Number two, we need to continue to liaise with all stakeholders on mining, including RICSEX, DISEX, the Minerals Commission, EPA, Chamber of Mines, and large and small mining companies. Number three, public education and sensitization to the deleterious effects of illegal mining is essential. Unless we begin to see how our economy is nosediving, because if hitherto you needed $100,000 for Ghana Water to give us good water, if you have to multiply it by 10, then it means that you have to take the money from somewhere to give to Ghana Water. And so we need this public education, and it should focus on the general public and our understanding of the laws and negative effects of illegal mining. It is said that Ghana loses $500 million annually, apart from loss of lives, pollution, and water body degradation. In addition to the loss of lives, pollution of rivers and water bodies, degradation of forest reserves, and so on, we still lose 500 million because of illegal mining activities. Some lessons from other parts of the world will be helpful. Illegal mining is not just a Ghanaian problem. It's a global problem. And there are some people who have been working in these areas. We must try and promote security regulation, planning and research, strategic investments to ensure that we curb this menace. There is a report by Livia Wagner, private sector advisor. Livia Wagner, they are private sector advisors to the Global Initiative Against Organized Crime. And they identified that the tools to combat illegal mining include legislation in import and export countries, international access, and private sector initiatives. Wagner says, and I'm quoting here, in the gold sector, refineries, which buy from traders and sell to jewelry makers and electronics companies, buy from one gold trader, but its refineries' responsibility, it is the responsibility of the refineries to say to the supplier, you have to make sure that the gold is legally sourced. End quote. This is not easy, especially since we have a lot of companies throughout the world who don't really mind where the gold comes from. They just want to work it and make jewelry. Despite these guidelines from the World Gold Council, such incentives are difficult to work with. And the price tag is so high that many companies don't want to get involved. Inside Crime, a foundation dedicated to the study of organized crime in Latin America, reports that attempts to introduce traceability to the Colombian gold industry has had mixed results. And I'm quoting, gold sales are now limited to registered miners, but local officials in mining zones, miners and gold traders say the impact of this has not been to reduce the flow of gold, but to push the sector further towards criminality, as they can now only sell gold on the black market. We don't want something like that. That's why we must all put our heads together to find what we need to do. Refineries need to be certified. And we must all make sure that these certifications take place so that we can regulate the sector further. I'm trying to end. We are here gathered and we know the menace of illegal mining. And so we cannot overlook the immense potential of our continent, Africa, that holds 30% of the world's mineral reserves, we can't overlook the potential that we have. Ghana stands as a beacon within this landscape, boasting a rich mining heritage spanning over a century. Gold, diamond, bauxite, manganese. We have iron, we have copper, we have zinc, we have nickel, we have chrome, we have salt. Yes, salt is a mineral. But the daunting challenge of illegal mining throughout all these areas must actually cause us to step aside and think of how we can all together ensure that we maximize the benefits of mining whilst curbing the wrong effects. So illegal mining does not only threaten our environment, but also our aspirations for sustainable development. Whether it's SDG 3, whether it's SDG 6, whether it's SDG 12. 3 calls for good health and well-being, yet illegal mining exposes us to health hazards, introducing toxic chemicals into the atmosphere. SDG 6 emphasizes clean water, but illegal mining has polluted almost all our water bodies. SDG 12 advocates for responsible consumption and production, yet illegal mining perpetuates a cycle of environmental degradation. A lot of effort has been made by this government, but you and I know that the struggle is real, because it looks as if we as a people have a way of perpetuating wrongdoing. So somebody in the community will tell the illegal miners the police are coming. And where will the information come from? It will come from somebody within the agency that is supposed to do this. Somebody will say, hey, Minerals Commission is coming. Let's go hide. Environmental protection is coming. So actually we need to confront ourselves as a people. Let's confront ourselves. Why is it that it's difficult as a people to stop doing wrong? Why are we still cheating at exams? Why would we want to pay money to the policeman because we don't have a license in the car? Why would we do that? Why do we even bribe Asofos to pray for us so we can go abroad? Yeah, the seed money is a bribe. Why do we do that? So we need to look into ourselves, because Ghana boasts of every law that exists is the implementation. And so if we as people make implementation difficult, then there's no way we can curb any of these things. But I am an incurable optimist, and I believe that we can do far more. In fact, Ghana is still a country of choice for mining, because even as we speak, 3 new gold mines are under construction. 1 by an existing mine, 2 in the northern region by Cardinal Namdini and Azuma Resources. And this year, Cardinal will probably pour its first gold. With these new mines and the expansion of existing ones, we are expecting a gold output of 4.5 million ounces. But this will not help us unless we take initiatives such as the green mineral policy. We have taken the bold steps to prohibit the exportation of minerals in their raw state as the green mineral policy. We have also, as a nation, prioritized beneficiation and value addition, ensuring that the resources are refined and processed locally to maximize its impact. That's why we have a GEAM that is supposed to deal with bauxite throughout all its beneficiation processes, the ore, the alumina, and then the production of aluminium. The same thing is supposed to happen to iron. We have also, as a nation, championed local participation, mandating a minimum of 30% indigenous ownership in mining ventures, thereby empowering Ghanaians to share in the benefits of our natural wealth. But our efforts should not end here. We need to be committed to diversifying our mineral resource base, leveraging the African Continental Free Trade Area. I never am able to say too many F's. To promote intra-African trade and cooperation by establishing integrated industries for gold, bauxite, manganese, lithium, iron, and so on. But we are not alone in this endeavor as a country. Across the globe, countries like Tanzania and South Africa have demonstrated the positive impact of responsible mining practices. And we must learn therefrom. Mining is a good sector, and it can help propel development in a sustainable way. But we need to diversify the exploration and exploitation of other commercial and available resources that are easy to mine. That way, we will not make gold the only mineral that is attractive. So let me quote Charles E. Wilson and say, as I get ready to sit down. Charles Wilson says, Ghana's future is yet ahead of us. Our land is a vast storehouse of mineral and agricultural wealth awaiting further development for the benefit of all. Our potentialities are magnificent. We have no excuse to fail, unquote. And so this is the clarion call for those of us at UHAS. Health delivery is not only for people in our community. Health delivery must extend, because health delivery also includes research into possible problems that can exist. And so here at UHAS, let me make this clarion call. Let us uphold the principles of sustainable development, ensuring that our mineral wealth becomes a catalyst for progress and shared prosperity for all. Let us together do whatever we can to overcome the challenges of illegal mining and forge a brighter future for generations to come. And because I like singing, choir, in order to pep ourselves up, we have all determined, even the 78-year-old, that we are youth. So you will sing, "Arise, Ghana youth, for your country." Don't tell me you don't know the words. You do, of course, don't you? You do. So I will ask all of us to get up as if we're in the military and do some on-the-spot marching as we together commit ourselves to being a part of the eradication of illegal mining in Ghana. So, The future is ours. The future is here. Let us do it together.
Kindly take your seat. Except the university choir, you are not taking your seat. You'll give us another interlude as we prepare to take our questions. But before we do that, that was a very impressive lecture given by our distinguished lecturer, Reverend Dr. Joyce Rosalind Aye. Shall we give her an applause? And as the university choir gave us an interlude, all those who have questions on the lecture in any related area, please get them ready. Thank you. Thank you very much, University Choir. So we are taking in all 6 questions. You know that we have another program tomorrow, and so we want to leave here early enough to prepare for tomorrow. So 6 questions. Who will set the ball rolling?
Thank you, Madam. Please, I want to add. Thank you. My name is Agbesi Ruth Lecha. I want to ask, what have the government done to overcome this? Before our mother said he has done a lot for us. Thank you.
Yes, there's another hand up there.
Hello. My name is Banfo Samuel, final year pharmacy student. Thank you very much, Doc, for your interesting presentation. I'm happy that the song we sang actually meant we are all involved in building our motherland. But I don't think everyone has been involved so far in this issue about illegal mining and its impact on the environment. Since you've been in government, I want to know, are there government officials that you've known personally who have been the invisible hands behind this particular menace? Also, secondly, what is your take on the sentencing of Aisha Wan, the 4.5 year sentencing that was given to her, and that meager fine that was slapped upon her, as to it being deterrent enough for illegal foreigners, for foreigners who come into this country for illegal mining? So these are my 2 questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll take another one, and then Madam will respond to it before we get to the next one. Okay.
My name is Mary Albania MFA. So my question is, according to Reverend Dr. Rosalind, she talked about the good side and the bad side of gold mining and how it comes about. So this generation of ours that we don't know where we are going can deriving gold and other minerals help to sustain the economy when we, the youth, become the future leaders? That's my question. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, Reverend, please. No, I will bring it up to you. Please, no, remain.
So, but 1. The young lady who asked whether anything at all had been done, I think perhaps most of us are so disinterested in the country that we don't read the newspapers, we don't listen to the news, we go on Facebook, but there are other things that we look at instead of what is happening in the country. Because if you recall, I think around 2018 or so, some very drastic measures were taken which caused consternation. Typical Ghanaians. The thing is not good. But you take an action, oh, you've overdone it. Do you remember? They burnt equipment and so on. They said, no, 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 no. Use the equipment somewhere. Meanwhile, the equipment will go somewhere and then it will get lost. And it will find its way back. So, for example, some very drastic measures were taken. If you recall, military and police were involved. Lots of people, that's why we'll come to that question. People were arrested. Some progress was made in making better laws at ensuring that illegal mining is mitigated. Drones were used to try and monitor where they were in the forest or so on. So quite a number of things have been done. I think that's why I said at a certain time that we need to confront our own character as a people and how we love to promote wrongdoing. So quite a number of things have been done. May I encourage you, please, to go on the website of Minerals Commission and on the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources website so that you can find more information. I think the second one came from here. One, I'm not in government. I'm a retired, twice over, 3 times over retired. I'm waiting for my 5th retirement, which will be the time I enter the grave. Also, if hands are invisible, how does anybody find invisible hands? My questioner, how do you find hands that are invisible? You know. And now that a law has been passed, even though it has not been assented to, about which is, you know, I don't want to say you're asking me to play the role of a witch so that I can go and find these things. That's on the lighter side. But you also asked a very pertinent question. Aisha 1. That's why I said in my presentation, courts have been established to deal with illegal mining. But unless the sentences are very deterrent, unless the fines are exorbitant, so exorbitant that you would not be able to do it, it's child's play. So the courts are there. Now they figure it. If you were there when these courts were established, you were in the Supreme Court then, you know, special courts to deal with these things. But we need to, the penalty units must be so increased, because unless fines are deterrent, unless sentences are deterrent, then you can only use the law. You see, when you are judging a case, you can only use the existing law to judge the case. Otherwise, you would be going, what do you call it, ex jure or something like that. And let me practice my Latin more. You see, so I agree with you, and it's part of my recommendations. We should have stiffer sentences. And how did these foreigners get into the mining communities, do you think? How did they get there? Can anybody venture? We invite them. We invite them. In fact, most of the time, we invite them to bring us equipment because all their equipment, you know, the manuals are in Chinese. We are still not studying Mandarin. So you won't even find anybody to interpret or translate. So then they'll bring more people to come. And there will be the interpreters, there will be the mechanics. By the time you know it, you've invited one person, but it has become a village. So we really need to make sure that we Ghanaians go into proper partnerships where we are monitored. There's nothing wrong with having a partner who comes from another country. but it has to go according to the regulations. The third question was the lady who said she didn't know where she was going. No, that's why I said Ghana has lots of minerals. You know, gold does not downstream easily. Gold is usually for countries to hold as resources. The amount of gold that goes into jewelry is minimal. And even there, it has to be alloyed. Even in countries that like 24-karat gold, you still need a bit of alloy to even hold the gold together. Aside of that, yes, computers have gold. Going to space, but it is so small. So it is usually held as bullion for economies. You hold the bullion. And so Ghana should not make gold the only mineral resource. And that is why now there is GEADEC, the company that is going to make sure that the bauxite is extracted, it is turned into the secondary product of alumina, and then turned into the third product of aluminium ingots. The aluminium ingots then will downstream further into so many things. Iron will also do the same, because if you want steel, I know in medicine, most of your theaters and so on need, right? Yeah, stainless steel. So if we are able to exploit our iron, we'll be able to do that. So I agree with you. Gold should not be the only mineral, not at all. But see the furor that came when government decided to go lithium. There were some experts who said, bad deal. Some experts said, good deal, So let's know that these things happen. Then the girl who said, okay, there's another girl. She said, we the young people who don't know where you're going. But you know where you're going. That's why you're in school. Yes. You know where you're going. That's why you're studying. Even if after you've studied, you decide to use some other skills other than what you have studied, you definitely know where you're going. As you sit there, I know you're planning who you're going to marry, the house you're going to live in, the car you want the man to drive, right? The children and the names you're going to give to the children. So you know where you're going. You know where you're going. That is why you must be interested. You must be interested in what happens to this nation and how it is governed. Okay? Thank you. Next batch. Professor Jambo,
do you have a... Can I have...
Well, thank you very much, and thank you for a very illuminating lecture. Today happens to be World Water Day, and this morning I sent a post to the UTAG platform. If you just look back, you see it there. You can see it in front there. The water from our various rivers. And it's very disheartening. And I grew up around the Brim River. And this is a video I took last year when I went to visit. This is the Brim River. This is where I used to swim as a very young boy. And when you finish swimming, you fetch some of the water and take home, because in the morning you are supposed to go to the riverside maybe 5 times. If you want to bath in the house, then it means you have to fetch 6 times. So what we do is that we go 4 times. At the 5th trip, we have our bath, and then we fetch and go. But this is the water. And today is World Water Day. I just wondered, mine is not a question. I'm just overwhelmed. And I think that the reality of this should dawn on us, that we may run into a situation where there will be no potable water around in the country any longer. Yesterday, I was listening to City News, and it is about water, the water treatment plant at Osino. The inlet cannot, they cannot find any good water to treat. And beyond the mud, the heavy chemicals that you refer to, they are now getting into the food chain and into the human beings, and now we're talking about so many other challenges, kidney issues. Somebody was asking me, why is it that these days there are so many people having all these kidney problems? I don't have any evidence that it is due to the mining that is going on around, but we cannot rule it out. So I think as a nation, we really need to reflect and see the gravity of the situation. Osino says they cannot treat the water again for the community because they are now spending about 10 times the amount of money they used to treat. And that's what the chemicals, they cannot even remove it from it. So as a nation, we really, really need to reflect. It is a very, very big problem. It's not a question, it's a frustration that I'm sharing. And I don't have an answer. So I will not say I don't know where we are going. I'm going, but I'm frustrated. And the people in my village don't use the Brim River any longer because it's not worth it. No fish. We used to get fish from this river. There's nothing. So it is a very, very big challenge. And we need to really sit down as a whole nation and know that this is a problem for all of us to deal with. Thank you.
My name is Jackson Angela, and my question is, if illegal mining opens job opportunities for the youth and at the same time causes harm to society, then what are the youth supposed to do since they end up being jobless and can't cater for their family?
Thank you very much. Thank you for the lecture. Our mother said all institutions must work together. They must collaborate. So my question is, how can we make all these institutions work together to meet the SDG goal 3, 6, and 12? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much. Right. Thank you very much, Reverend Joyce, for the eye-opening lecture. The song said, we are all involved. I dare say that some people need to be much more involved in the fight against galamsey. Why do I say this? I think we require leadership. Because if you look at galamsey, our laws tend to fight the effects. You catch the poor laborer at the mining sites, then you sentence him. The shamfans, I don't know whether shamfan has any other use apart from being used for mining. But we import them, clear them. We know what they are going to be used for. We still clear them. In the communities, we know the big men behind the mining. You catch the poor laborer, tomorrow he will get more laborers because it seems to be rewarding going to labor at the mining sites. And so I dare say that until our leadership sit up and decide that we'll go for the people. So I don't believe they are invisible hands. They are actually visible hands, just that the political will to go for them is not there. If you look at the furore that arose around this Akwanta mines and all those things, it tells you that we are not ready to fight Galamsey. And until we do something different, the menace of Galamsey that you have described is going to worsen, and all of us are at risk. Thank you.
My scribe. Let me explain the mining sector. There is large-scale mining, there is medium-scale mining, there is small-scale mining, all regulated. Regulated means it is authorized. You go for a lease, environmental protection comes to look at the methods you're going to use, and you go through a whole lot of process. What we are talking about are those without authority. You mentioned Akwanta. The issue with Akwanta is not that he was doing Galamsey, but he had strayed into an area for which he had not been authorized. So those are, you see, right now what we are doing is mixing small-scale mining, which is legal and has a whole regime that goes with it, with illegal mining. And we must desist from that. Otherwise, again, our passions will be inflamed. We will think that so-and-so is doing illegal mining because his company is not called Goldfields. Do you get me? So there are, in fact, there's a fourth layer that has been added in order to mitigate illegal mining. Now, community mining is another layer where Minerals Commission brings community people together, gives them an area, regulates the way they mine, including even the PPE, right? PPE, personal protection equipment, you know. So efforts are being made to even make sure that the youth can get involved in mining, in legal mining, which is the community mining, because mining is capital intensive. That's why you're saying they're big men. It's true. Now, the middleman will not even come. The middleman who will tell the illegal miner to go and get involved in somebody's property doesn't even live sometimes in this country. But because he's heard that there's gold. I mean, I have had people call me and say they want to buy gold. And I said, then go to PMMC. The institution set aside to play that role. They don't want to go. They want to go and see someone to do that. That's why I'm saying, let's look at our character. It's wonderful to say leadership. That's why I'm saying, you do the laws. Who are the people who break the laws? We. How can a chief who knows that the land, he will have surface rights, but he doesn't have underground rights? How can a chief like that say, it's my own land? So if we understand the four aspects of mining, which are regulated, then it will be easy to see those who would encroach on somebody's land. And even the encroachment, the, what are they called? Surveyors. Yeah, the surveyors and the people who work there. They are the people who go and say that, oh, we went to this mine, Auntie Joyce's mine, and they've just done some exploration. There's a lot of gold here, but they are mining here. It will take them time before they come here. Same. So I agree with you Leadership ought to make laws. Leadership, for example, that the laws that are made are practicable. Leadership ought to make sure that the collaboration that is needed. That is why, like the health minister can no longer say he's not interested in mining, illegal mining. He can't, because it will come to his desk. The person involved with trade can no longer say, I'm not interested. The one involved in education can no longer say, I'm not interested. Because if children are not going to school, it is a problem for the one. That's why the collaboration is important. Have I answered your question? It has to happen because, you know, life is a chain. Those of you studying medicine and allied things, look at the human body. Inside the human body, see how everything from the heart to the lungs to the arteries. The other day I was doing an ultrasound on my stomach, and where they said they found my spleen, me, I didn't know that was where my spleen was. But all this intricate thing, you know, that is how the nation is also like. It's intricate. And unless every aspect does its work, then yes, the heart will pump the blood. After a while, it will get tired because the arteries are choked. Do you get me? So that's why the collaboration is necessary. We are a whole nation. Every aspect affects the other aspect. And we must make sure that we do that. Now you're worried about Brim. People in Tano are also worried. Those in Ankobra are worried. Those in Ofin are worried. But what can we do? Because some of us live in the communities, and we also know those in the communities who do that, including the chiefs who have given that. But you know, Ghanaians, I don't speak like that. Please send somebody to teach me a verb. You know, it has to be a cycle. We have to have a cycle. Why are you sniggering? I'm speaking Edo. My best one is Mesagbegbe. That one, I get away with it, you know. So who else asked a question? The partnership. So, you know, I mean, look at me. I'm holding this with my left, my hand. We were created for community. Life is meant to be lived in community. And that's why even our inner organs show us. Even our outer organs show us. Unless we live in community, unless we do things together, you can no longer say it doesn't matter. You know, Ghana water is going to be defunct unless we do something about it. And that means loss of jobs also. So the youth, community mining is there, small scale mining is there, and you can get jobs. I don't know what you're studying, because the mining companies, large, medium, and small, need medical attention because they have to make sure that they are monitored all the time. Then of course, there are injuries and there are other things. So they all have medical people there. And so it's not only Kolebu or Ho Teaching Hospital that can offer you a job. You can actually go and work with a mining company, even though you are in medicine. I hope I've answered everybody. Yes. Okay. Vice Chancellor wants to ask a question. Then I'm finished.
Thank you very much, distinguished speaker. So my question is actually from the Foundation Vice Chancellor, Professor Benka. But before the question is a plea to my faculty, my professors, senior lecturers. The issues have been raised. The interest, as we can see from our future leaders, is very, very, very high. I'm hoping that we'll see some research projects that is linked to mining. We have a program or a course, a BSc program, which is the first in Africa, BSc Orthotics and Prosthesis. Now, if we are having these children with strange diseases or abnormalities, how can orthotics and prosthesis physiotherapy collaborate with other institutions to intervene for children that will be born with these disabilities? We have the School of Basic and Biomedical Sciences, where we have researchers who are interested in water research. So the heavy metals, can we collaborate with other disciplines to see, say, the fish in the brim area or the fish that we buy in Accra? How much do we have any of these heavy metals in there? What are we eating? So we always talk about North-South collaboration, but we can also do a national collaboration where perhaps we collaborate with UMATS or UNER or maybe the University of Slovenia to do research that links to this. So I'm hoping that we will respond to this interest so that my sister who said we don't know where we are going, by the time they get to our stage, they will know where we are going because the data and the evidence is very clear. But Madam Honorable Sikpe, my Foundation Vice Chancellor is asking, is there a place for a gold mining board with a holistic approach to solving the emerging problems under the umbrella of the Minerals Commission? Why must minerals license be from Accra if the thing is happening elsewhere? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, actually, licenses are no longer being given only in Accra. The Minerals Commission has, what do you call it? They have decentralized. So there are offices in mining districts, and now they're even resourcing them more. And now they are also using technology to access information. The process is that when you find a place where you think there is mineralization, you fill a form online and you indicate your interest. Then the document is sent to the district and posted at the district administrations. 21 days. If nobody raises an objection, then it comes back and the process. But then the next stage will be the exploration or even the prospecting. This is where also our people break the laws a lot. A prospecting license is not a mining lease. It means you want to find out whether there's any mineral worthy of. Even after that, you have to do exploration because you have to know the extent of mineralization. Now, when you know the extent of mineralization is where you can use the information to even make your thing bankable, you see. So somebody gets a prospecting license immediately. So Minerals Commission has decentralized. One, I don't know that there's a gold board as he's talking about. But Minerals Commission actually has come a long way. They've done a lot of changes. For example, even right now, there are certain areas in the mining chain that can no longer be played by foreign companies. They want Ghanaians also to own the industry, so that you don't have only foreigners, coming in. Of course, we need to industrialize, because bolts, nuts, all these things, we have to import. We need to set up companies that can at least provide the bolts and nuts that are, So actually, that's why I'm saying that it can really catalyze development. If we see not just the gold at the end, but the backwards integration. Integration is very important because everything that the industry needs, what can we do to make sure that we are part of providing those things? I think that will pique our interest and make sure that we do the right things.
Thank you very much. Shall we do it louder? I can tell how my students are really loaded.
I'm so proud of you, young.
But because I've seen your hand. I've seen your hand, but we cannot take any more questions. Oh.
I think you should create a forum for me to come and meet these young people.
All right, ma'am. I'll do that. We'll do that as a university.
We'll have a round table, and then we'll just talk.
Thank you very much. We are nearing the end of today's program, and I will call on the chairman, who is our University Council Chair, our Lordship, to give his closing remarks. Shall we give him an applause, Africans?
I think you all agree with me that Ms. Joyce-Ayi has given a wonderful lecture and opened our eyes and minds to emerging issues in mining. When the Vice Chancellor gave me a list of female speakers, I believe because she's a female herself, all the speakers for this year's JEAM lecture series were women. And so I knew all the women, so I gave my approval to contact any of them. In less than 24 hours, she sent me a text that she contacted the first one on the list, Ms. Joyce-Ayi, and she has agreed. And so that is why she's here. And we have not been disappointed at all. We have not been disappointed. In fact, she has cleverly woven the topic and integrated them with the SDGs 3, 6, and 12. And the issues she raised are very pertinent. For example, when I was a young student in the University of Ghana between 1973 and 1976, the debate on ownerless lands was going on. Professor Nyido, I believe you remember those days between Professor Kluje, who believed there were ownerless lands in some parts of the Volta region, and then Justice Ni Amaolenu, Professor Benchi Enchil, who believed that there were no ownerless lands in Ghana. I think the debate has now been settled that there are no ownerless lands in Ghana. In 2018, I addressed the Ghana Bar Association in Sunyani, And I asked them a pertinent question, whether any chief in the illegal mining areas has ever come to consult them that my land has been trespassed upon, and so I want you to take the person to court. The answer was no. My first interaction with Professor Anyidoho, I'm sorry, I haven't sought his permission, was in the 80s when I was a legal practitioner. He called me. Somebody who was litigating over a parcel of land in his hometown sent court-appointed surveyors to his father's land to survey as if those lands were for him, the third party. So Professor Anyidoho's father stopped the guy, but they didn't know that it was the court who appointed the surveyor. So they brought an application for contempt. And that's where I had to come in. And I had to come in to defend the old man. I'm giving this story to say that there is no case in any of our courts by anybody that an illegal miner has trespassed upon his land.
So we know the people.
But you will find countless cases. Some people have just trespassed 4 feet into their neighbor's land when they are building. They will sue them. Some people will just enter 10 feet into their farm, they will sue them. Why is this so? It is because we are all condoning the illegality from top to bottom, from bottom to top. That is why you know very well that it is your water body that is being destroyed. It is the forest cover for your hometown that is being destroyed. But you sit down unconcerned. Now, if the state sends military men and policemen to police the area, they are also Ghanaians. First few weeks, they perform miracles. In a short time, they are compromised. If they are not compromised, they are chased out or killed. The case of Major Mahama is a glaring example. And it took almost 7 years for that case to be determined by the courts. We must, as a country, reflect what legacy are we going to leave for our children and grandchildren. Do we want to leave them with no land, no water? The issues raised by the speaker are very, very pertinent. We need to take them seriously. And I believe that the Vice Chancellor will create another avenue for the health professionals who are here as faculty and as students to dilate over them. A few months last year, I read about a sheep in the western region which gave birth to an 8-legged young one. I remember somebody also read that story. And it was later attributed to mercury and its effects on the environment that the animals are grazing upon. Now, in the case of the sheep, we were informed. But most of the harmful effects on humans, we are not going to be informed. It will only end up in the medical journals and in the teaching hospitals and other places. But that came out as a sensational story in one of the papers. So I am very grateful to the speaker, but I will urge all of us, those in authority and those who own the land, especially, when I raised these issues at a seminar, I was told that you don't have gold in your region, that is why you can speak like that. And that if you had gold in the Volta, you would not be speaking like that. I'm happy we don't have gold as at now in the Volta, so the Volta is pure for the water to flow to power electricity for us at Akosobo and Pon. Otherwise, I'm sure our dam would have collapsed. So we need to take these issues raised by the speaker very seriously. And this lecture series are not for show. They are for real. The university has to sit down now and tease some of these issues for further development and analysis and action. Illegal money is a dangerous threat to our survival in this country. It doesn't lead to the sustainable development goals. The lecturer has clearly pointed that out. So, Madam Joesai, thank you very much. I believe that this has been a teaser, and we will take it, analyze it, and build upon it. There are newsmen here, journalists. I believe they have to carry it. But even they, when they publish or when they send these stories to Accra, because there is no weight, it will not be published. It is not sensational, it will not be published. It will be published maybe after 1 week or 2 weeks. When there is no sensational news, then it will find its way into some part of the newspaper. But these are the type of stories that have to be published for the public to know about the harmful effects of galamsey. Thank you very much.
Thank you, my Lord Chair. I now invite the University Director of Public Affairs, Mrs. Maria Jura, to acknowledge some personalities who are with us this afternoon.
Thank you, Madam Registrar. And thank you so much, Akora, Auntie Joyce, for that amazing lecture. Something that we can all relate to as we live our lives and look forward to the future for our children. I want to acknowledge our guests who have joined us today, all the way from different parts of the country. First off, I want to acknowledge the presence of our own Regional Minister, Honorable Dr. Archibald Lecha. I'd like to acknowledge the presence of our first Council Chair, Professor Kofi Anyidoho, our second Vice Chancellor, Professor John Osu-Japon. I'd like to acknowledge His Lordship Justice Victor Jones Marlon Doche, Council Chair, and all members of the UHAS Council present. Thank you for your presence. We also have with us Dr. Paul Opoku-Mensah of the National Cathedral. We have pharmacist Kwesi Brenya representing the Regional Director of the Ghana Health Service, Ms. Hannah Ofosu Ape, Personal Assistant to Auntie Joyce. We have the Assistant Superintendent of Immigration, ASI Zadok Ama, representing the Regional Commander. And then we have our own revered landowners, our landlords, as we love to call them. We have Togbe Fia Koku III, Paramount Chief of Sokode Traditional Area. Togbe Kojo Do I, Chief of Sokode Lokwe. Mamao and elders from Sokode Traditional Area accompanying them. All deans and directors present, thank you for coming. We have faculty and staff also. Thank you for making the time to come. Also here are members and students and teachers from various schools, SHS. So that explains, Auntie Joyce, these are SHS students. We have Malco Girls, SHS, Ula Girls, SHS. We have also Sokode Senior Technical School is present. We have the School of Hygiene, who is here. The Nurses Training College. UHAS Basic School is represented. We have representatives, leaders from the SRC, GRASAG, and UHAS Alumni Association are all here. We want to acknowledge the UHAS Choir and the UHAS Cultural Troupe. And I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the team from Public Affairs, Works, and ICT for all the good work put in. Thank you.
Shall we clap for our director for thanking us? My Lord Chair, we have come to the end of this afternoon's event. Tomorrow, the university will have the second session of the 8th congregation, and those students who could not ask your questions, I'm going to ask special permission from your headmistress and headmasters so that you join us tomorrow, because tomorrow she's also going to be the guest speaker. And so you get to listen to her again. She will be speaking to our graduates tomorrow, but we are very grateful that you came. The cultural troupe, if you are here, you are going to lead us to recess. But before we do that, we'll take a photograph. All of us will come down and take a photograph together before we recess. But we are most grateful to you for participating in this afternoon's event. Yes. We'll take the picture first before we recess, please. Kindly rise. We have a beautiful anthem in UHAS. I want our guests, especially our students, to listen to the UHAS anthem before we recess, take our picture and recess. So the choir, kindly lead us with the UHAS anthem. Thank you. It's not in your brochure, it's on the screen. Shine
Shall we remain standing whilst we take the photograph, please?
All invited guests kindly proceed to the council chamber. All guests may proceed to the council chamber. All students kindly go to your bus. Your refreshment will be brought to you. Students, go to your bus. Your refreshment will be brought to you. If you say students,